clowns, Cabbage Patches, orphan trains. I have heard it all. I am making vintage doll babies. Hey, welcome to Misty Land. I turned to YouTube to make these dolls, and I fell into a Cabbage Patch hole, a rabbit hole full of Cabbage Patch babies. You have the real Cabbage Patch dolls. You have the fake Cabbage Patch dolls, but which ones are real, which ones are fake, you may not know. You also have Cabbage Patch babies and the stories that go all the way back to like the 1800s. I think the first movie ever made was about Cabbage Patch babies. And it gets really weird. Stick around and we'll talk about all of that, but first let's get started making these babies. We moved in here a few years ago next to a dear friend from church, Miss Wanda, and she found out that I like to sew, and so she gave me all her sewing notions. A ton of patterns and about 100 of these doll heads. I've never really made a doll before. I'm not a very good seamstress, to tell you the truth. They just sat in the barn for about a year or two. And because I had never made a doll before, I obviously turned to YouTube. It's, where else are you gonna go? There's a lot on YouTube about doll babies and Cabbage Patch babies and clones and conspiracies and the end of the world or the beginning. I have a lot of information about these doll babies and about Cabbage Patch babies and Garbage Pail Kids. And I'm really excited now to make all this. I have spent hours watching YouTube videos about the most insane things you would ever hear.
Watching a 10-hour documentary about Cabbage Patch conspiracies. And I'm doing that so that you don't have to.
I don't believe any of it. YouTube responsibly, please. Because I found all of this stuff on YouTube. I don't have a pattern. Here I am making my own. I'm tracing her out and I'm adding seam allowance and stuffing allowance at the same time. And I'm going to sew it in one piece, and then I'm just going to stitch. Instead of making separate arms and legs, I'm going to try it. Because I'm lazy, and that's why. Here's my pattern. Please don't touch my pattern. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So Miss Wanda also gave me this skirt and the creepy dolls from the Halloween special that I had to take down because of violence. Sorry. But they are a lot of fun. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So with a lot of trial and error, I think I finally have a pattern that's gonna work. Doll baby was originally invented by Martha Nelson Thomas in the 70s, and she was the first one that came up with the adoption paper idea. She was an artist from Kentucky, and she originally designed these soft sculptures. She was selling them locally. This guy, Xavier Roberts, he put them in his shop. He started selling the dolls for more than what she had originally agreed to, and she stopped selling them to him. He was going to sell her baby dolls with or without her, so he came up with his own baby dolls, and he called them Little People. This filthy lucre, Xavier Roberts, stole this idea, completely stole it from this sweet Appalachian woman, this sweet country lady, and he just swooped in and took her babies. Just right. And he sold them with the adoption papers and everything. But then he changed the name to the Cabbage Patch Kids, and that's when the craziness took over. He was a pretty bad guy. He stole her idea, made a lot of money off of it, and then when the Garbage Pail Kids come out, he had the nerve to sue them for making the Garbage Pail in the likeness of his Cabbage Patch dolls, which he had stole from Martha originally. What comes around goes around. The name Cabbage Patch Kids, that actually goes really into really dark territory. You go into a land of Tartaria in a flat earth, and to where babies are clones. They were cloning babies, and we're the Cabbage Patch Kids. And I just kind of wonder, him being such a filthy lucre and all, if he come up with the Cabbage Patch on his own, or if he sold his soul for the name, because it gets really dark and twisted. Bad people even have to know about these things. It just kind of comes to them naturally. I don't want to go any further than that. Then in the 80s, she came out with a kit that I've got right now. These are from the 80s, that you could make your own doll babies. She sold the kit and even come with the adoption papers. So grandmas like me can make their grandbabies their own doll babies. And these were a really big deal in the 80s. I was really little, and I didn't know about the Cabbage Patch thing. I had one of these, and I thought that they were the same thing because I was just a little girl and I didn't know the difference. And I took my baby to school because everyone was taking their Cabbage Patch babies to school. And so I took one of these, and it was my baby, and I loved her, and it was, I think, kindergarten or first grade. There were these girls on the bus that were making fun of my baby and saying that my baby wasn't real, and I had no idea what they were even talking about. To me, it was my baby. It was really my baby. I took care of it. She was fine. They had adoption papers just like the other ones, and I was happy. But they pulled down her panties on the bus in front of all the boys, and they showed the entire bus that she did not have the signature on her butt. They just took my baby and pulled her clothes off in front of all the boys, and I was devastated. I went to church with those mean girls, and their meemaw found out, and so she went and got me my very first Cabbage Patch doll. And now that I look back on it, I really wish that I would have kept my doll. Let those mean girls talk me out of loving my baby. It's like one of those moms in Patchtown. Patchtown is a Cabbage Patch horror movie. That is a nightmare. Yes, they have those. I had no idea. But yes, I watched it. I had to. It was fantastic. So the Mean Girls I told you about, they were cousins, and a few years later, my mom married their uncle. So their Meemaw become my Meemaw. Meanness never pays off, and I think that when you are mean, God gets creative. So don't be mean. When I looked up online how to put their heads on, everyone used zip ties. And I have some, but they're not long enough, so I'm gonna have to put 2 of them together. My first baby doll. Her head is on there. I still have to do the embroidery around her hands and her belly button and her bottom. She didn't have a bottom yet. And make her some little Cabbage Patch clothes. Okay, well, I'm excited. She's adorable. So I still really love the Cabbage Patch dolls. She did not make herself, so she cannot be responsible. She's just a baby. It is perfectly fine to still love your Cabbage Patch dolls. So a few years ago at a thrift store, I got a bed sheet that was Cabbage Patch, and I didn't really know what to do with it, and I just put it up, and now is finally the time to use it. I'm gonna make these babies Cabbage Patch clothes. I think I'm gonna make the granddaughters matching clothes, and I think it's gonna be adorable. Okay, so it's been about a week. I've been very busy. I've had company, and then we had Valentine's Day. This has happened. But we drove all the way to Missouri. Get another one for part. She should be up and running pretty soon. And now I've gotten everything back out, and we are ready to get started making the dolls again. I must have got a little excited because this one has 12 fingers. Not this one. This one has 12 fingers. It's gonna come in hand. Now I've got to make their dresses. I've got most of the little things sewn here, but the rest I'm gonna save for when I get started making the clothes. So that's what we're gonna do. I made all of this for free. It cost me nothing to make the dolls or the clothes. I already had everything. But the presentation cost $9. Yeah, because at Harps they're sewing cabbage by the pound. And they didn't have any little ones. But don't they look adorable? But this one's got little roses in her hair. And then Leanne's gold strands. Flew over right when y'all drove by. Look over there, look in the garden. Look, it's a Cabbage Patch. Said that her name was Lily and her name is Rose.
Granny, I'm gonna fly.
Oh, and she was also born with 12 fingers. Does that make you mad? Do you want her to have 5 fingers? We love her anyway, even though she has 12 fingers.
Wait, that's plastic inside of a chicken? That's plastic inside of a chicken?
Yeah, kind of. It is kind of like plastic inside of a chicken.
They got something to put.
Come on, you and your baby here. You're gonna miss the picture.
Wait. Give me my.
Like it's a cheeseburger.
I like my new dress.
You do. I'm so glad you like it.
I can take it home.
You can.
My baby can take a picture. I took so many pictures of her in so many ways. I love my baby. Boing, boing, boing. Has a belly button now.
Yeah, she has a belly button. They have their original birth certificates.
I will do a doctor roast. Be my baby. I'm going to be your mom ever. Rennie's coming. Rennie.
Here's your adoption papers.
He's fine. It's a perfect day to be outside.